Hello, and you are listening to the Book Was Better podcast, the podcast where we talk about the book of the film. I'm Luke.
I'm Suzanne.
And this week we're talking about Super Buddies.
Hey you, put down the popcorn and turn on the light. It's gonna be alright, my friend. In the end, take my hand and trust me, the book was better.
Holy crap, we are back with a little bit of a change to the promised lineup.
Yeah, hopefully for the better, but maybe not.
Xavier was advertised to be on the show. He even actually watched and read and made notes on Super Buddies, but he had computer problems.
Good grief.
I think it was a Chappie style situation involving Hugh Jackman with a mullet.
A young dude gets a cute girlfriend and then suddenly just bailing on everything.
No time to talk to me about this movie for children.
Nope.
He is probably getting it on with his lady friend. Speaking of which, can I make a little bit of a disclaimer before we start here? I just want to say, just to be responsible, this is a Disney film for kids.
Yeah.
And as such, it's not intended for us. This book is not written for us. If you have happened to be a kid, a young person, or a fan of this who has stumbled upon this by searching for it in iTunes or anything like that, I just want to say this isn't for you. This is a cynical podcast with adults making fun of a silly pop culture thing. We've earned our explicit tag. It's really not for kids. So if you're here in the wrong place, apologise for that. But this isn't a Super Buddies thing you're probably thinking of. I think we should say that when it's something specifically for children.
Yeah, we're douchebags, kids. Don't hang out with us.
No, we're a very bad example. We are what not to do.
That's right.
Said though, I've got to admit, I really like this film.
What?
Yeah, it surprised me. Now, Suzanne is filling in at very, very last minute. So all she has seen, you've done my trick basically. You've just watched the trailer.
I think that I possibly have had less preparation for this than anyone who's ever been involved in The Book Was Better.
No, well, Jacinta.
No, seriously.
But that's okay, because you don't know this story.
Nope.
So I'm going to help explain this to you. I'm going to try and get across Super Buddies. You're going to help me read out some of these quotes, and together we'll get a sense of this whole thing.
Oh, this can only end well.
But I will say, I did enjoy it more than I thought, and I think it's because I thought it was going to have the sort of budget and effects of one of those Baby Genius direct-to-video sequels.
You underestimated Disney.
Well, I didn't realise it was Disney.
Oh.
When we first talked about this, I just thought, here's this dumb direct-to-video movie. This would be funny. But, yeah, I mean, it's still low budget, but it has got a lot of energy in it. And it's weird because it really tries to be cool. And the characters all talk. You know, like the Hoops Doggy, What Up My Hoops Doggy in High School Musical?
Oh, Jesus Christ, yes.
That is tame compared to what these dogs say throughout the course of this film. So either what's happening is we have some adults earnestly trying to be cool and trying to be hip and trying to create lingo that they think will appeal to the kids, or we have adults just not giving a crap and ironically going, how much of this stuff can we throw on the page? Either way, I reckon we win. I think that's really great. So this book, this adaptation is by Tracy West. And I didn't know this. This is based on the character Air Bud.
Who's Air Bud?
Air Bud is what are they? They're golden retrievers, are they? These dogs? You just watched the trailer, you know about dogs. Labradors?
Yeah.
He's the dog that plays basketball.
Okay.
So that was the original thing.
Is this like, are we talking like late 90s?
Yeah. But this movie is only from last year, I think.
Yeah, well,
or maybe the year before.
I'm aware of the Buddies movies because, I mean, I buy kids' stuff all the time in terms ties in with work. So I was aware of Treasure Buddies and Christmas Buddies and Space Buddies and...
I need to see them all now. That's a lot of buddies.
That's an awful lot of buddies.
And I'm pretty excited about that.
You can watch Christmas Buddies when the time comes.
Oh, yeah, that might be a good one for December.
Yeah.
Because December's, I don't know if you're aware of this, houses Christmas within
really?
It's folds.
My mind is freaking blown.
And Tracy West, very prolific, author of 200 books, including, I've got quite a few here, because I was quite impressed. The Cupcake Diaries.
Again,
series?
something I've bought for work.
Such as Katie Sprinkles and Surprises.
That's right.
Pixie Tricks books. Like Sporty Sprite. Bit less of a chav than Sporty Spice.
Yeah, this is true.
Disney Club Penguin books. That's like an online social network thing for kids, isn't it?
I think it ties in. Yes, I think so.
Pokemon chapter books, like Return of the Squirtle Squad.
That's
sounds a little bit
begging for a porn parody.
A bit dodgy. A Great Uncle Dracula. Imagine having Dracula as your great uncle.
Oh, Great Uncle Dracula, you're so funny.
Like to read about that.
With your killing ways.
Kung Fu Panda. Imagine like reading all that dialogue without Jack Black breathing life into it. That'd be fantastic. Perfectly Princess. Again, we've talked about this recently. Americans all want to be princesses, even though they don't have a monarchy, and laugh at people that do.
Yes.
And Plants vs. Zombies. Now, their tower defense game, that's perfect for a novel.
How do you even... isn't that like kind of trying to pin a narrative on like tic-tac-toe?
Well, I guess, they're doing an Angry Birds movie, right?
Are they?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, Jesus
That's pretty
Christ.
crazy. I imagine, perhaps half the characters are plant-based, maybe the other half are probably zombies, and there's some kind of conflict between the two. Probably all get along at the end. Like when Christmas in the Trenches and the Germans and the English people played soccer?
That was a lie. That never happened.
Holy crap. Well, I hope the Plants vs. Zombies can sort something out.
Can see past their differences.
Yes, and try and figure this out. We should get hold of that. But we're here for Super Buddies, a book about a whole lot of puppies that become superheroes. How's that going to happen? We're going to find out. So, here is the beginning. The morning sun rose on Fernfield Farm, streaming into the window in Bartleby's bedroom.
Butterball, a bug puppy. Bug puppy?
Maybe a big puppy.
Big puppy with golden shaggy fur stirred in his sleep. A delicious smell hit his nose.
I can't type, I'm sorry.
Breakfast!
Excited, Butterball jumped up. Today was a special day. It was Bartleby's birthday, which meant there would be a party and hamburgers and hot dogs and cake.
Woo!
So I guess by that rationale, every day in America is a party.
Yay!
Now, Butterball, that's not our lazy Australian tongues not being able to say butter.
Yes.
Actually spelt Butterball because he is a descendant, I suppose, of Air Bud.
Well, if it's a Labrador, they only live for like 6 years. So this is probably like the great-great-great-great-great-grandson.
Next generation.
That's right.
And the book neglects to mention that Bartleby, the kid, is a bit of a butterball himself. A bit of a chubby little kid. But it's instead Grandpa Marvin that gets dropped in it by Tracy West in terms of the old fat steaks.
With Butterball urging him, Bartleby quickly got dressed and then put on a red football jersey on the puppy, and then They hurried down the farmhouse stairs to the kitchen, where Grandpa Marvin, a big man with a white beard, was cooking breakfast.
Now, Grandpa Marvin, if you thought this was a low-budget thing without any big stars, you're wrong. It's, God, what's his face? Is it George Ratzenberger?
Such a big name, you don't know what his name is.
Maybe I'm just thinking about burgers.
Yeah, maybe.
The guy from Cheers, who is also the voice of Ham in Toy Story.
I have never seen Cheers.
Well, that's because you're not as old as I am.
Yes.
But yeah, he's Grandpa Marvin.
Okay.
You definitely recognise his voice.
Okay, right.
And he really throws himself into this thing.
Well, there's no in-between, is there? Ultimately, it's a stupid movie. Oh no, let's be fair. A stupid concept for a movie. You've kind of got to just, throw
But
yourself.
it's the perfect concept for a movie. All kids like superheroes. All kids like puppies. Of course they're going to love...
You don't like puppies.
Talking puppies. I prefer kittens, but kittens wouldn't do this. They would be like supervillains or something.
I think there's probably a movie in that.
Terrorists.
Cats versus dogs.
Cats versus dogs. I love it. Yeah, I want to start writing that. So this sissy kid, Bartleby, is into stupid comics, can you believe it, featuring Captain Canine and Kid Courageous. And he's collecting wearable plastic rings from dog food packages.
Okay, so that's not going to end terribly.
Bartleby reached into the bag. Do you think today might be our lucky day? He poured the chow into Butterball's large food dish, and an orange plastic ring as wide as a cereal bowl slid out. No way! The last ring of Inspiron! Bartleby cried. Now I have the whole set.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Did I mention that it's his 35th birthday?
See, okay, so we've got a ring that's essentially, you know, the size of a dog collar. So we don't see a problem with that. Just a plastic ring that a dog could play with and then, like, latch over their head and get snagged on crap.
But that's the thing. That's what the dogs actually do.
Mm-hmm.
They put the collars around their head. But I didn't know that at the beginning. So when this kid pulls out this plastic ring and he's like, whoa, cool, I can't believe I got this. I'm thinking, what the Christ is that? Why would you be excited about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think if this movie was actually kind of had just a tiny smidge of more kind of realism, you'd probably be like, you know, this thing falls out and then someone looks at it and goes, oh, my dog could choke on that, and then people get sued and then the movie ends.
I saw a mural today that some children painted, which had a kind of manatee thing swimming with all this rubbish around it, like plastic bags and those plastic rings from six-packs and stuff.
Well, they don't have them anymore.
And the slogan was, pollution is never a solution.
That's a phrase to live by.
But I was thinking, you see a big manatee, I imagine like that is quite intimidating.
Yeah.
But why would you think, okay, everybody, get plastic bags. Let's throw them in the water. Like, why would you think pollution was a solution? When has pollution ever been a solution to anything? Exactly. Yes, so, with the set of dog food rings complete, Bartleby can now happily die a virgin.
Nice.
And Gramp gives him a copy of Kid Courageous and Captain Canine #1. And Bartleby is really shocked that Gramps managed to find it at all. He's like, how did you find this? Where did you get this? And he's like, oh, I have my ways.
Bartleby's expectations are very low.
What do you think Grandpa's ways are?
eBay's hookers and blow.
eBay's obvious, so yeah, probably is hookers and blow.
Yeah, I'd say so. Does he have other grandchildren who could be like, Granddad, this is an option? Not saying you should, but it's out there.
It's there. So we then go into this big explanation. It's a whole chapter of the comic book setup. And in the film, you actually see the comic book kind of come to life in animation, I think. And it includes this explanation. This is the basic good versus evil setup. Far, far away in a whole other galaxy is the planet Inspiron. The Inspirons lived in peace for thousands of years, protected by the 5 power rings, pink, blue, silver, orange, and green.
Okay.
But all that changed when the Darkonians, led by the evil Commander Drex, remember that name, arrived seeking to capture the rings and use the rings' power for evil.
Okay, so this is this weird kind of mesh of, like, Green Lantern and Lord of the Rings.
Well, this is the thing. Like, he's like, Grandpa, how did you find this thing? One, this is a comic which is promoted on dog food. Mm-hmm. Like, even Batman sells about, 100,000 these days? What do you reckon Kid Courageous and Captain Canine sells? I think Grandpa really cheaped out on his birthday.
I'd say so.
Unless there's another present. Do you think there's another present?
I guess there must be.
Well, you just hang in there, Tiger, because there's going to be one. But there's more explanation. So, good guy, Captain Megasis. So you've got Commander Drex is the bad guy. Captain Megasis is the good guy. And what happens is... Megasis? Not Megacyst. He doesn't have a Megacyst.
Well, you know, these Labradors, man.
Well, no, he's like an alien.
Oh, right, okay, yep.
But you're on the right track.
Yes.
Because what happens is Captain Megasis gets stranded on Earth and disguises himself as a dog. Which is a big Labrador.
Okay.
They do this body snatch thing. And
I can't think of anything more illogical than to switch bodies with if you're going to land on Earth and go, you know what, I've got to mesh in with the population. I'm going to be a big freaking Labrador.
Well, the dog's the first thing he sees, and he thinks it's a human.
Okay.
Hasn't done his research, essentially. Okay. Something you can probably relate to in this particular
In this
podcast.
instance, yes.
Yeah. So he's disguised as a dog, and he teams up with some dumb kid who lost his dad, and his dad used to be a policeman. So the kid's like, I'll become Kid Courageous, and you become Captain Canine, and we'll put on silly costumes, and surprisingly, they're not beaten to death by thugs.
I would have kind of liked the kick-ass kind of approach to that revelation where they go forth and start fighting.
Just get the crap beat out of them. Well, the thing is, they don't have these power rings, so they have no powers either. It is just a kid going, my dad was a cop, he got shot in the face on the beat, but I reckon I can go out into the mean streets of LA and take on some of these criminals myself. Here, let me put my underpants over my tracky dacks, and I'm going to go out there and...
If this dude came down to Earth and kind of saw, like, I don't know, like a bull mastiff or something before he saw a Labrador, this might have been a much shorter story.
Well, do you remember Michael Bay's Transformers, the first one?
Yes.
And that's exactly what the Autobots did. They came down to Earth, they saw... What if Optimus Prime had seen a Labrador? Completely different movie.
Yes, definitely.
But get this. This is total coincidence. This is something Tracy West just tells us. The torpedo that was hiding the rings in it happened to crash to Earth and hit Gramps' barn. So they don't know that, but this whole story in the comic...
Okay.
is real. And it just happened by coincidence.
Okay.
The one person that buys this special dog food ends up in their barn.
Okay, right.
And Grandpa hasn't worried about a space missile hitting his barn because...
But that was long ago. So long ago that Gramps never even thought about the crash much anymore. And today he was busy planning Bartleby's birthday party.
He's got to get balloons, he's got to get streamers...
Yeah, we don't have time to think about that old, alien invasion thing that happened way back when.
Grandpa, you've never mentioned the space missile. Well, yeah, my hamburger's burning.
Yeah, it just strikes me as something probably... And come on, this is like an old dude. Surely he's telling that to every, cash register kid that he meets.
And look, here is the rest of the gang, and I don't mean kids. Butterball ran to greet the buddies. This is kind of like the dog version of the Goonies.
Yeah.
His three brothers, B-Dawg, D-A-W-G, Buddha, and Mudbud. And one sister, Rosebud. Each golden retriever puppy wore a hero costume to match his or her kid.
Okay, I see Mudbud, I think Mudblood.
Me too. Filthy mud...
Filthy mudbloods.
You filthy mudblood, Hermione.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck off, Draco, I am not. Yeah, you are.
Poor Tom Felton. Somewhere out in the universe, he's just, twitching like someone stuck him with a pin.
He is lucky, though, they went with Buddha and not Muhammad.
Yes.
So this is why Grandpa doesn't worry about shit like space missiles hitting his barn. Turns out he is completely nuts.
Okay. Suddenly, the sound of superhero music blared throughout the farm. The door to the hayloft on the top floor of the barn opened. There stood Gramps in his own hero costume. His cape was a checkered tablecloth, his boots were black rubber farm boots, and he had a leather tool belt around his waist and welding goggles on his face. A big blue G decorated his shirt. "The amazing Grandpa Man is here," he announced. Then, to everyone's amazement, he flew down from the barn on a zipline and crashed into a haystack.
Broke his hip and shit his pants.
Oh, Gramps, we just got you out of hospital.
And then Grandpa has also made this chubby 12-year-old his own superhero suit to further alienate him from his incredulous friends.
Oh.
This is the kid that collects the stuff from the dog food packets. Now he's the tubby boy in the superhero outfit.
Okay.
The best part about this film, though, and I sort of referenced this at the beginning, is the dialogue. So just occasionally, we're just going to quote all the best stuff. Like this.
"My basketball is a circular treasure, yo, but it's a home. At home," B-Dog remarked.
Yeah, B-Dog. He knows it all. And he also says this. "Yo, Alpha Dog is in the house," he said boldly.
He said boldly.
Yeah,
Whoa.
He owned it. And look, this really clearly is a book for very little kids. I mean, we really are going from A to B here. It's practically a board book. You could chew on this thing and it would be fine. All the big scenes with the farm animals, because they go around looking for the rings and go and harass all these various talking farm animals. And in the book, they're run through in a couple of sentences.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of different characters in the film. And I was really disappointed that they didn't dwell particularly on the chickens, who are probably Disney's most audacious racial stereotype since the crows in Dumbo.
Well, chickens, man.
Yeah.
I hear they get fried.
Oh, no.
No?
No.
I actually haven't seen the movie, so I could be thinking of a completely different racial stereotype.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
No, I just feel bad. This will cheer us up. Whoa, 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 dudes and dudettes, where's all the mud? Mudbud asked.
What?
It's not just a clever name. He got his name for a reason.
Well, that limits his conversational options substantially.
He's a bud that loves some mud.
It's like, holy shit, this is a talking dog, but all he talks about is mud.
And this is good, especially out of context. Mud Bud hated to see his pig friends so bummed out.
Them pig friends, man.
Yeah. And this is good. Turns out that after all this time, America still hates smart people. Very relieved to hear that.
The treasure you speak of, B-Dog, is not real, but a metaphoric treasure, Buddha informed him. Butterball shook his head. I don't even know what you just said.
What is this all about? Isn't this ironic? I mean, when you think about it, you've got this really kinetic, enthusiastic set of characters, but in real life, I mean, we've seen movies where the actors don't look that into it, but these are literally actors that would rather lick their own balls or sniff each other's bums than actually do anything that they're being asked to in this entire film. That's even worse than, like, Bruce Willis's attitude in Kevin Smith's Cop-Out. Anyway, I thought this sounds like a euphemism.
Let the dirt maestro do the deed, Mudbud offered.
I had an uncle.
Seriously,
who
that's
was
all he talks about.
A little bit of a dirt maestro.
Oh, yeah.
If you get my drift.
There's publications for that.
Yeah. A bit of a dirt maestro. Did some digging. If you know what I mean. If you do know what I mean.
Digging around the back door.
Explain it to me, because I'm confused.
Yes.
So anyway, look, they find the real rings of Inspiron. Inspiron?
It sounds like a computer.
I got such a headache. I need to take some Inspiron. And each of the buddies get their own ring, but they are interrupted by the birthday cake bugle.
That's the best kind of bugle.
That's something we're missing out here on Australia. I wonder what else they've got, like a hot dog klaxon or some sort of hamburger harbinger.
Well, we do have, green sleeves that plays when the ice cream van comes around.
I love that has never changed.
Yeah.
Tell us, if American friends, is that the same in America, that whenever the ice cream van turns up, they play green sleeves?
We have someone in our general area, in our suburb, who owns an ice cream van. Doesn't actually operate it as an ice cream van, but it has, like, the green sleeves thing still, like, there's still an option in there to play that as they're rolling around. So they just drive around with this thing playing, and it's a bit rough on the kids who probably get excited, but, it's amusing.
Americans probably don't know, like, green sleeves. They probably know the tune, but don't know that it's called green sleeves because they're not cultured enough. So here we go, quick. It's quite a morbid, haunting song, really.
It's medieval. It's one of the oldest songs known songs in existence.
It's about someone with a cold that doesn't have any tissues.
Oh. It's actually about a pretty court lady with, like, big braidy hair and long green dress.
Say big something else, am I right?
Huh?
Boobs.
So
now it appears the dogs have very real superpowers.
Whoa! As usual, a towel was hanging from the refrigerator door handle.
I'm assuming because Bartleby got really sweaty when he ate.
As usual? Just a little tug and the door would open. Butterball didn't, but at that moment... What? Oh, Butterball didn't, but at that moment the blue ring around his neck began to glow. Butterball gripped the towel in his mouth and pulled. Crash! The whole door fell right off. Sweet mama, that was awesome! Butterball exclaimed. He dove in and started gnawing on some salami.
A bit out of context, comedy corner in here. I gotta say, to Grandpa's credit, in the film, he comes in, the fridge is completely smashed up, and this dog's just sitting in the wreckage. And he's like, guess we gotta get a new icebox. Rolls with the punches.
Yes, so obviously this is something that's happened before. Probably Bartleby. Bartleby's had moments where he's hulked out and gotten into the fridge.
So look, Butterball is super strong.
Yes.
B-dog can now stretch like rubber, like Mr. Fantastic. Buddha can levitate and control things with his mind. In the film, he levitates a hot dog, of course. Mudbud can turn invisible, just like the old Sue Storm. And Rosebud is super fast, like the Flash.
Okay, why not, I guess.
Zoom! Rosebud charged at super speed, becoming a pink blur on the field. The ball soared past the stunned goalie into the net. Nobody knew what had happened. The ref gave the goal to Alice and her team cheered. Now that's girl power, Rosebud remarked.
And that's bullshit, Suzanne remarked.
Can you explain why that is girl power? She's using a magic ring to run really fast.
That's cheating.
It is. That's like using steroids.
Yeah,
it's some Lance Armstrong bullshit
And more to the
right
point,
there.
Why is a dog allowed on the field?
Yeah. Well, she was moving so fast I didn't see it, but I still don't think it's girl power.
Yeah, but then, the ball disappears and suddenly appears in the goal net. They're not going to award that. They're going to stop everything and go, what the fuck just happened, and put everyone in therapy.
They're going to probably get an exorcist if it's an American town.
Yeah, this is true.
So they decide to use their powers to protect the town from what Buddha calls bad karma.
Yeah, you got your religions confused, dudes.
And here, what do you reckon of this?
Rosebud agreed. I love making Fernfield a better place to live. I say we give it a shot. Girl power.
What, is this the early 90s? Is she a Spice Girl? How is any of this girl power?
And I'm sorry, she's the kind of doofus Labrador puppy. She ain't doing anything to make Fernfield a better place to live. She's digging up stuff and shitting everywhere and being a nuisance.
And also, doesn't that sort of, I don't know, like that denigrates girls in a way. It's like really condescending.
Yeah.
Like the boys are secure enough that they don't have to keep going, hey guys, I just smashed the fridge, boy power, am I right? Boys doing it for themselves, standing on their own 2 feet.
Well, yeah, but I mean, being a female in this context is like, the personality flaw, essentially. Like, this guy really likes eating, and this guy is kind of like brainy and shit. And this guy really likes mud, and this guy is actually a girl.
Can't believe that guy's
Isn't
a girl.
that freaking nuts?
So they save a cat from a tree. In the film, the cat's all like, I don't want to be saved by a bunch of puppies. Blah. But nothing really happens in the book. And then they stop a candy store robbery, and this is pretty great scene.
Rosebud acted first. She tied up the first thief with red rope licorice. Then Butterball loaded his mouth with gumballs and shot them rapid fire at the other thief, knocking her down.
Imagine the dog spent a lot of time loading their mouth with balls in the shooting of this.
Yes, that's
Can you imagine the behind the scenes?
Well, if they're all puppies, then there weren't really much in the way of balls to be had.
Director must have had the patience of a saint.
Either that or they were drugged to oblivion.
But look, just when you're thinking this is already pretty great, because you've got dogs doing crazy CGI, superpowered things, they're catching criminals, they're wearing costumes, you're just like, this is the best film ever. Suddenly we meet the aliens, like Commander Drex and his henchman. And his henchman is the absolute best character of all.
Monkey looked out the pod's window. How exciting to explore a planet in another universe, Commander. Drex's henchman
I really couldn't type.
looked like a monkey with pale green fur. He wore a silver spacesuit.
Okay, not only does he look like a monkey.
He is a monkey.
He's a monkey. He's a monkey that they've dyed green and stuck pointy ears on his side.
Oh boy.
And he's wearing a silver jumpsuit and he's talking the CGI mouth and he's going crazy monkey apeshit. And from this moment onwards, this becomes honestly one of my top 10 favourite films of all time.
I fucking hate monkeys so
This
much.
is such a good film. It's so crazy and funny. And Drex is this big, bald, green CGI alien who steps out to meet Earth's leaders.
Okay. He marched up to Curly, the teenage pig.
Can we have a Curly spin-off, please? Wouldn't you, love to see a film like Curly the Teenage Pig and Fuck You, Mum and Dad, You're Not the Boss of Me?
I don't think there is such a thing as a teenage pig. I feel like that's maybe beside the point.
Well...
But that said, it's a great phrase.
To be fair, Suzanne, you didn't see the movie. I saw the Teenage Pig with my own eyes.
I defer to your superior knowledge of super buddies.
And Drex, the alien guy, he thinks the pig is a human, so he turns into the pig. And he's a green pig. This film just gets better and better.
Okay.
And he talks to Gramps, who gets scared away and runs away. And Gramps really must be just a quivering, insane, piss-soaked mess by now.
Yeah, look, if the fridge was burst open with a dog in the middle of it, like yesterday, and then a pig turns up who's green, I think of those two things, I kind of think there's probably a more logical explanation for the second than the first.
Don't you think, kids pranking, though the pig
Kids
did
pranking,
talk.
rolling in grass.
He did take a knock on his head earlier that morning as well when he fell off the roof.
Yeah. Is he still dressed up in stupid shit at this point?
No, I don't remember, probably.
Alright.
And look, but if things weren't great enough already, listen to this.
But Drex was having a hard time too. He had steered the truck to Main Street and then crashed into a fence pole. A crowd of people had gathered to marvel at the green pig driving the truck.
There is a green pig driving the truck. You see him talking. He's using the steering wheel.
How does he reach the pedals?
I don't know, but he's got his little trotters on the wheel. It's like just so clever and great.
I bet anything that the pig on set was probably the most useful cast member out of everyone.
You knocked it out of the park, Disney.
They're smart little buggers.
They might have just shaved Bartleby. I'm not entirely sure.
Quite possible.
And we should mention as well, the other main character is the dopey but lovable Sheriff Dan and his bloodhound called Sniffer, who can also talk, but doesn't talk to Sheriff Dan. And they show up on the scene to act like crazy morons.
He stopped when he saw a pig in the driver's seat of Gramps' smashed-up truck. "Holy pork chops! Pigs can drive!" he exclaimed. "Not well, but they can drive."
That's a good line. That's a pretty funny line.
Yeah.
It's not a bad movie, I'm telling you. Get your super buddies on, listeners. And meanwhile, the buddies themselves, the stars of this, the titular buddies, save a little girl from a burning building when... But just as they were about to give up hope, a shadowy figure in a superhero costume jumped over the burning debris. The dogs watched as the hero appeared through the smoke. It was Captain Canine!
What the shit?
That's like suddenly meeting the Incredible Hulk. That's crazy. Comic book character brought to life.
Yeah, that's never happened before.
Thought it was kind of embarrassing, though, that they needed the help of a dog without powers when they all had powers.
Yeah.
And B-Dog, to be fair, has some valid concerns.
"Why are you tripping, Captain Canine? Everyone loves us," B-Dog said.
That's valid. That's very, very valid. I agree with him.
Drug references, kids' movie.
But back to Drex, who I gotta say is having his own little sexy party of his own.
Seconds later, he was inside Sheriff Dan's body, and poor Sheriff Dan was inside Curly the pig's body.
Jesus, buy him a drink first, Sheriff Dan.
Yeah, there's some pegging going on here.
He's only a teenager.
Yeah, that ain't right.
No, so get this right. So now Drex is Sheriff Dan.
Okay.
Which means Sheriff Dan now has green skin and can act like even more of a maniac than before. And he was already being a maniac.
Yes.
And Sheriff Dan is trapped inside Curly the teenage pig, which is pretty hilarious in its own right.
Curly the teenage pig.
That's his theme song,
That's
yes.
it, yeah.
And then Captain Canine trains the buddies rather than taking his friggin' rings back and doing it himself.
Just take your shit back and leave so that things can go back to normal.
But I did think this was a really good line.
"Better stop," said the spinning cow. "I think I might throw up all 4 of my stomachs."
I like these script writers. And
I just like "better stop," said the spinning cow.
Yeah, well, this is the
Spinning
thing.
cow.
Buddha, you know how I said he levitates people?
Yeah.
He's got all these CGI cows spinning in the air in the field, and they do have a lot of CGI in this, and it's pretty low-grade CGI, but it's still fun. And I just think, like, what a perfect movie for the short attention span of kids. Like, they realise exactly how long a kid will watch something.
Yeah.
And they're just throwing it all in. They're like, want to see a superhero dog spit gumballs in a candy store? Want to see a green pig drive a truck? Let's spin some cows around in the air. And I think that's pretty amazing, really.
Well, let's put it this way. I mean, the cheapest of cheap Disney movies, like, is still a hell of a far slicker production than the cheapest of other movies.
Yeah, and why wouldn't a kid love this?
Yeah.
Like, it has everything a kid would love.
Oh, look, you love it.
I love
I
it.
think that's a kind of, a monkey shows up and Luke is freaking out of his damn mind.
Monkey turned up and I was just like, holy crap. I think after I finish ScarJo a Go-Go series, I might do monkeys in films.
Please don't.
Monkey movies.
Please don't.
Gramps quickly pointed the pitchfork at Drex. The alien just grinned and raised his hand, sending an electric charge at Gramps. Zap! Gramps fell to the ground. "Oh no!" Butterball cried. "Don't worry, he's just stunned," Captain Canine assured him.
He just jump-started his pacemaker.
He's had a stroke and pissed himself again.
Uh,
Pretty cavalier of Captain Canine,
yeah,
isn't
I'm
it?
like, he's an old dude. Even if nothing actually happened, he just suffered a fall. That's some serious shit if
And
you're
his
an old dude.
Face is already caked with blood from when he smashed into the haystack.
Yes.
He's, saw a talking pig. That'll rattle an old man's
Well,
composure.
by this stage, he's almost certainly decided he's had a stroke.
Yeah. I think he's just doesn't know whether he's coming, going.
Maybe this whole movie is just like a stroke fever dream of Gramps'.
That would explain why this kid was excited to get a plastic ring from a packet of dog food.
Yes, definitely.
But now Drex is sending a meteor to destroy the Earth. So the stakes just got raised, my son, like a high shelf in a butcher shop. Captain Canine and Drex start battling, but they are interrupted.
Captain Canine, Butterball cried. Hearing Butterball, Drex turned around. Now come out where you are, you little super poopies, he said with evil glee.
Super poopies. He says it a few times as well.
That's bullshit.
Super poopies.
Super poopies.
I bet the kids laugh their asses off when they hear the old super poopies.
Yeah, right.
Look at all the spin-off potential. A monkey movie, Curly the Teenage Pig.
Curly the Teenage Pig.
Super Poopies.
Yeah.
The movie. I'd go and see Super Poopies.
I know
Starring,
you would.
just do a bigger budget version. George Clooney, Brad Pitt, kind of an Ocean's 11 sort of vibe.
Yeah.
They're the Super Poopies. So, B-Dog has clearly had enough of this shit.
I think it's time to surrender dogs, B-Dog said.
Yeah, he's just
Sorry, I can't say this.
give up.
It doesn't matter if I decide how exactly I'm going to say that. It always goes badly.
It's actually kids doing the voices of the puppies.
That's good.
It's pretty funny.
It makes a big difference. Like, I was actually expecting adult voices and I was just bracing myself to just want to punch some adorable dogs in the face. But no, it's actually it's good with
kids mangling English, which is kind of cute.
English in inverted commas.
Speaking of English, it's not very American of old B-Dog to surrender, right?
Yeah.
I thought these colours don't run.
Nuh-uh.
Whoa. What is he, French?
Topical.
Is he yellow dog?
Whoa!
Come on.
He is a yellow dog.
That's true. Well, that makes sense then.
Shit.
They team up and they use their combined powers to take on Drex. And Butterball here has a really great special move.
Drex charged towards Butterball, ready to attack. Butterball used his special power and farted, propelling himself forward like a rocket.
He learned that one from Bartleby.
Well, that is some bullshit.
Maybe Gramps.
That said, dog farts are something friggin' else. You can't be prepared for dog farts. Except by camel farts, maybe, which are just horrific.
Or Gramps farts.
Yeah, all that.
Oh, you don't reckon... You know how you hear about pensioners being so poor that they eat dog food? Do you reckon...
Jesus Christ, what have you been reading?
Well, that's like something you used to hear. Because, they didn't get enough money from the government.
The big guys up
The
top.
big guys, yeah. Big brother. So they'd eat dog food. So maybe that's what he's doing. Like, he's eating the dog food and getting his old Bartleby, getting him these toys. That was the only way you could get him a birthday present and eat. It's kind of sad when you think about it.
Gramps has had a hard life.
Well,
so
look.
much so that, like, a freaking spaceship crashed his house and it was just unremarkable.
Yeah, that was, like, the least exciting thing that happened to him that particular week.
Yeah, it was like they skipped picking up his bins that week or something.
Well, look, Gramps has been through the fucking ringer, but he's not going down that easily.
Gramps was standing on the barn roof in his hero costume and planted a lightning rod on the roof.
Been doing that a lot since Grandma died. Poor bugger.
Sons of bitches.
Gramps is on the roof again.
Well, they supercharged. He got his pacemaker kind of stung back into life. It'd be like when Thor summoned lightning down onto Iron Man and charged him up to 500%.
The American healthcare system
Yeah, this is true.
is so bad
That's the reason he owns a lightning rod.
that some old people, in order to restart the old ticker, have to climb up on a roof in a storm. It's dangerous, but it can work.
Well, it's been working for Gramps.
It's true. He's still going. He takes a lick and he keeps on ticking. Mm-hmm. So, Drex, evil Commander Drex, heads back to his ship. And who turns up? But Jack Schaefer turns up at the farm. Now, Jack Schaefer is, well, here you go.
Bartleby couldn't believe it. His favourite comic book creator was right here at Fernfield Farms.
Holy crap.
They couldn't get Stanley.
That's like meeting the world's tallest midget, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
This is like...
I've met the world's tallest midget.
Who was that?
Well, he said he was.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think you should trust people you meet
Strange.
online.
Okay. All right.
This is like meeting as exciting as meeting Rob Liefeld.
It's a dubious honour. It's
Todd-
like, I'm excited about this, but I feel kind of filthy that I'm excited about this.
Todd McFarlane.
Ugh.
Todd McFarlane was a guest judge on Face Off the other day.
Why?
And he was like, they were dressed as superheroes. They made themselves into superheroes.
Okay.
And he was there, and he's like looking at the people and going, give me poison. Like, as in a facial expression. Give me poison. He wanted to see them get poison.
Okay.
Give me. And it's just like, you tripping, Todd McFarlane.
What you up to, Todd McFarlane? Oh, not much. I'm just harassing some dudes.
Well, look, we're almost at the end here. This is a little one. But Drex was tricked. They gave him that. He was like, give me the rings. And they're like, all right, you asked for it. And Bartleby, thinking on his feet instead of thinking of his stomach, gives the plastic rings to Drex instead. So Drex tries to use them to power his ship and all his equipment and stuff, and his ship hits the meteor. Remember, there was a meteor coming to Earth?
Yep.
Bartleby was a little excited at first because he thought that metal was filled with meat. When he found out it wasn't, he was angry, and that's why...
This is why this has happened.
This kid's probably slimmer than me while I cast all these discussions on him, but anyway...
You're fat-shaming. You're fat-shaming the little kid.
Well, I just...
For shame.
I just think he's lovely. And the ship hits the meteor, destroys the meteor, presumably murders the crap out of Drex. And turns out Jack Schaefer, comic book guy, he's the Kid Courageous all grown up. He's the real Kid Courageous, and all the stories he wrote were true because apparently they would be completely impossible to make up something so imaginative.
That's some Venture Brothers shit.
And they learn. This is what they learn.
You don't have to have superpowers to be a superhero.
You just have to be willing to risk damaging yourself and damaging other people's property as you try to damage people who you don't agree with. And you know what? Wearing a fabulous costume really helps with that transition as well.
You just have to be a fireman.
You just have to be a douche.
Or a serviceman in a foreign country.
To be a hero?
Yes.
Oh, in America, you'd be a sandwich or a squirrel.
Yeah.
Everyone's a hero.
Yeah.
And
especially me. I'm a hero.
You sure are. You're a hero for saving this podcast. You saved the day. Here I was in the figurative burning building. The podcast just burning down around me while Xavier there, like in his villain chair, cackled evilly with his young lady friend draped around him. Yeah. Going, how do you like your podcast now?
Sorry, hot girlfriend. You didn't ask to be dragged into this, but now you're here, so enjoy it.
She's cute, isn't she?
She is very cute. She's got a fun septum piercing. I like them. They're cool.
How much for your girlfriend? There's nothing you own that I cannot possess. He's not going to listen to this.
Poor Xavier. No, probably not.
So, speaking of princesses, Princess Gerala.
Oh, that's rough.
Princess Gerala.
Oh, Xavier, it's okay. You're wonderful just the way you are.
I wasn't talking about Xavier being the princess. I was talking about his hot girlfriend.
I was talking about Xavier.
I don't think the Ranger's going to like it, Tommy. So Princess Gerala.
Girafala.
Comes down to Earth. She's another CGI alien. She comes down to see Captain Megasis.
Is she at least cute?
Yeah, she's kind of, I would.
Alright, yeah, well, that's not saying much. The buddies approached Princess Gerala. She waved her hand and all 5 rings floated up to her. As the rings glowed, Captain Canine turned back into Captain Megacyst, a tall alien with big eyes and pointy ears. He reached out and held Princess Gerala's hand.
You want to do it doggy style, he said. And everybody laughed, and then the credits rolled, and it was just so amazing. No, that's not really, it doesn't really end there.
That's a Buck Rogers ending.
But nearly, yeah. Where Twicky's like, bitty, 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 I'd fuck her, bud. And then everybody laughs.
Yeah.
Tweaky? Yeah, he was dirty.
Yeah.
If you watch that old Buck Rogers, Tweaky, voiced by Mel Blanc.
Who?
Bugs Bunny.
Oy.
Just dirty little bugger.
Yep.
Yeah. With a page boy haircut as well, which kind of puts you off guard.
Which makes it worse.
Well, yeah, because you kind of get that sort of confidence around him, and then he's just like, bitty, 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 I'm looking up your dress, princess. Bitty, 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 nice ass. Yeah, he's creepy. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm pretty sure that is verbatim what he says. And look, good news is Monkey survived.
Well, I'm so glad that Monkey survived.
He didn't die up there.
I did not want to spend sleepless nights wondering about Monkey, the silver-suited green monkey.
And he offers himself into the princess's service.
Bow chicka wow wow.
I didn't say cervix.
Service.
Service, yes.
Service was fine. That was enough.
And here is the ending.
Whee!
1 year later.
A large crowd gathered in Fernfield, eager to hear the announcement. What? Jack Schaefer stood at a microphone. Bartleby, in a suit, sat at a table next to him. Behind him were all the Super Buddies in their costumes.
I know you're all familiar with my last comic book series, Kid Courageous and Captain Canine, Jack began, saying to the audience of 3. But we all know that series is over because, he couldn't write anything else. And I'm happy to say ended with the happiest of endings. Captain Megasearch. So let me proudly present my new partner in crime, crime being exploiting youth, a very talented young man, the brains behind our new operation, Mr. Bartleby Livingston.
The crowd cheered and Bartleby waved to them. He proudly held up the first issue of a new comic book. He and Jack had created it, The Adventures of the Super Buddies.
Butterball wagged his tail and turned to the buddies.
Our last adventure might have ended, he said happily, but it looks like a new one is about to begin.
Yeah, what an adventure the comic book industry will be for these guys.
It's like child exploitation in a movie populated by adolescent dogs.
Yeah, so I presume that Bartleby dropped out of school in order to pursue this at the tender age of 13.
Yep.
We've already established Batman sells about 100,000. Captain Canine, we reckon, sells, about 4,000, mainly due to the dog food tie-in. Super Buddies, probably going to sell what? About 30 copies?
Yeah, probably. And only because they're left in people's letterboxes.
Even if it does do well, what is the life of a comic book writer/artist? He's going to be just basically sitting at home trolling people on Twitter.
Yes, and then marrying porn stars, to be fair.
Well, that doesn't happen that often.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a rare...
You're thinking of Kevin Eastman.
I am.
Co-creator of Ninja Turtles. She didn't do porn, but she definitely did, pose nude. I think she was a Penthouse pet.
Right.
And they're not together anymore.
Oh,
but he was a rare one, though, because he had multi-millions of dollars through Ninja Turtles.
You have to overlook a lot when your partner's, busily drawing turtle penises on all your pages.
Yeah, now tell us about this.
Okay, alright, so I deal with children's literature, okay, and I've got a section which is all comics and all that kind of jazz. And we've got one of the TMNT issues, which I think it's an older one that's been recoloured or something. I'm not entirely sure.
It's a Jim Lawson drawing.
Jim Lawson, yeah. And what they've done when they've drawn the turtles is the turtles have tails, they've got little stumpy tails, but sometimes they appear in the shot and sometimes they don't. Which is, a bit of a bad move, because when you kind of see it accidentally from a different angle, it's sort of turtle wang.
You told me about this and I thought you were just being, don't do that.
Sorry.
This is audio, you realise.
So, this desk is covered in Kinder Surprises. It's hard to not play with stuff.
Well, don't play with that.
Okay.
That's Daffy Duck riding what is that?
That's one of the swamp boat things. One of them Louisiana crafts.
Anyway, so these Ninja Turtles. I understand they have tails, but the thing is, you don't usually see them from the front.
No.
Because they're very bulky. The tail's right up at the back behind.
Yeah.
In a shell. Plus, the turtles have really big thighs.
Yeah.
But old Jim Lawson likes to just draw that thing hanging in between their legs with it was too many wrinkles in it as well.
It was foregrounded. It was a shot from, the knees up of, I think it was Raphael.
I think it was Donatello. Am I right?
Woo! But yeah, that was some serious turtle wang. I kind of looked at that and I was like, this is going to cause me so much trouble that I just can't face this. But then I had to go and show it to everyone I knew.
Total trouble.
Yeah.
All right. I got to ask you, which is a bit of a dumb question because you didn't read the book or see the film. Was the book better? You saw the trailer.
Well, the trailer was something. The trailer did have a monkey in it, to be fair.
Yeah.
I like the pig. The pig is good. I have a lot of faith in the future of Curly the Teenage Pig.
Yeah, I think he's got a big future.
Yeah, let's go to the movie.
I got to go to the movie. This is a great movie. It's really cool. I love it. I'm going to marry it when I grow up.
Please don't.
All right, I won't. No Amazon reviews.
Oh, man.
This movie book left everybody speechless. Though here is one on Goodreads, and there was only one.
Only one.
Reading this book was my punishment for not paying attention when requesting Super Buddies at the library. I was trying to request the movie. I wound up with this book. I don't recommend reading this to a 3-year-old with a short attention span. I gave it 4 stars because it's good for what it's supposed to be, an early reader's chapter book. I can remember reading books based on movies as a kid that weren't nearly as good as Super Buddies.
Well, I was hoping for more kind of doofus kind of reviewing, sadly.
Yeah,
it's relatively mellow.
But who goes for a movie and comes out with a book?
Well, if you're reserving stuff online, plenty.
Well, somebody in that equation is not doing their job.
Well, it's an automated system, son.
Reading this book was my punishment for being interested in Super Buddies.
Yep.
Is probably a better thing. So you go, Super Buddies. I'm definitely going to get some buddies in space into my system.
Buddies in space.
Buddies in space.
Space buddies is what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean too.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was a thing.
It was.
So,
it was a thing that happened.
It did happen. We've got a recording to prove it.
It happened to us.
What if I
at the last minute?
I level up the recording and I listen and it's just not there.
Maybe.
And you're like, we didn't record anything. And I'm like, ghost recording.
Well, I'm totally going to do that to you tomorrow morning. I'll be like, what are you talking about? Like I would ever do a podcast with you about Super Buddies.
That's true. Very uncharacteristic. I didn't think you would say yes when I asked you this afternoon. I'm like, will you do this podcast? It's about Super Buddies. And you were like, yeah, okay. And I was like, what?
Well, you were having a bit of a kind of, I haven't missed one before kind of thing. Well,
I've missed one plenty of times before, but not this year. I've been on the ball. And I keep teasing that we're going to have an announcement about some more places to find us. And that is, I think probably next week you'll get to hear about that. So that's all cool as well. Hooray, sir. So in the meantime, listen to the other shows. There's FP Cast every Monday. That's a general pop culture podcast for Fruitless Pursuits, our
that is
website.
Getting filthier by the week.
Oh, look, we review films. We do Stop Playing With That, David Duck!
Sorry.
I didn't know it did that. That's pretty cool. Let's do that again. Oh, that's so cool.
We were talking about short attention spans for small children not all that long ago.
Yeah. Were we?
What?
We were talking about that.
Were we? Yes, we were. Absolutely were. Whoa.
Stop it!
Sorry.
So yeah, we play... We record that with Jacinta and it's fun. Listen to it. It's better than this.
It's a thrilling cultural insight into this glorious land that we call our own.
Worth Australia.
Worth Australia.
And we also, I do Scarjo A Go-Go every Thursday. It is the podcast where I review and watch each Scarlett Johansson movie in chronological order and critique her performance. And Black Widow is entering the fray with Iron Man 2 on Thursdays. I'm really excited about that.
Will that be the first time you've seen Iron Man 2
since the cinema? Yeah, and I didn't really enjoy it that much, so I'm hoping I get more out of it this time. Although I'm not really reviewing the film as much as I am her performance, her role.
I know.
In Iron Man 2, The Search for Strawberries, I think it was called.
Ah, yes.
All right. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate that.
It's all right.
You're a legend.
Yeah.
You're my superhero.
Cool.
Do you want to say the thing?
Yeah, right. Catch you on the flips.